Waking up everyone on Christmas morning.
I am so sorry to my boyfriend, but I'm actually in love with this man right here. This man!
What am I supposed to do now?
We're starting off spoopy today and ending very pop culture-y. There are quite a few ghosts that like to not only hang out with celebrities, but do the hibbity with them as well. Is it ethical to sell human bones on TikTok? A writer for Degrassi reveals the juicy reason Drake got a lawyer while on the show, and Pop Quiz is back. You guys sent in some really great questions for me this week. I'm AlexClark, and this is POPlitics. When I was growing up, the ghosts I heard about were old, bearded Civil War generals who lived in the attic. But now, they're apparently partying with naked women at the Playboy mansion.
All these ghosts, and I still can't find a boo.
Ex-Playboy Bunny and Girls Next Door star Bridget Marquardt says Hugh Hefner's Playboy mansion is haunted.
This house is haunted.
Bridget said one night her sister, her, and her friend all saw a skinny woman in her closet with black, long, stringy hair, a white t-shirt that was too big, and acid-wash jeans. Was this ghost on Saved by the Bell? The ghost of girlfriends past? I'm so excited! I'm so excited! I'm so scared! Bridget said the ghost just stared at her, and that's when she remembered there used to be a house mother who lived at the Playboy mansion who died of cancer. She also said that doors would slam or lock on their own, and that visitors would feel weird vibes when they entered the mansion. That's not really a surprise though, is it? She said she remembered Hugh telling her that the home's original owner had either fell, been pushed, or had jumped to her death inside the property, and that her spirit haunts the grounds.
Sir, you're making chainsaw noises with your mouth.
Sorry.
The Playboy Mansion isn't the only place ghosts are trying to get close to celebrities. Remember when Kesha said that she actually had sex with a ghost? Yep, so Discovery Plus asked Kesha to host a new reality series that follows her and other celebrity guests, along with experts that dabble in the supernatural, to explore mind-blowing haunted sites.
I like your beard.
Who knew that ghosts love pop culture as much as we do?
Are you okay?
Speaking of spoopy, this shook me. Have you seen this TikToker, John's Bones? He's a 21-year-old bone salesman. His TikTok has garnered nearly 500,000 followers and 22 million likes. Imagine you're swiping through a dating app and you come across this guy and his bio says, bone seller. What do? This guy's got human skulls lining his shelves, spines on the wall in his showroom, and even skulls of toddlers and fetuses. The Washington Post did a whole write-up on this guy and said John's Bones' site says it only sells medical osteology, or bones specifically prepared to train medical students. This guy, John Ferry, says that he's recirculating bones that would otherwise collect dust in someone's basement, and he's offering valuable services to people who may otherwise never interact with real human bones. But the origins of medical specimens are murky, with many believed to have been stolen from graves and forcibly brought into the educational field. These are not people who donated their bodies to science. And John Ferry says despite their troubling beginnings, he believes the most respectful path forward is to continue selling the bones.
So when looking at the human body, we're always told that there's 206 bones, but let's really take a look at that. Let's use this original Oddfellows skeleton as an example. The skull is comprised of 22 bones. This exploded skull perfectly demonstrates this. Next is the vertebral column.
Gen Z, have you ever seen Degrassi, The Next Generation? It was a teen drama show that came out in 2001, but it was on for forever.
Whatever it takes. I know I can make it through. If I hold out.
That was Drake. Yes, Drake.
Yeah, Drake? Drake?
Before Drake was a famous rapper, he played Jimmy Brooks on Degrassi, who ends up paralyzed from the waist down and has to use a wheelchair after another character, Rick, shoots him in the back.
Is that real? The whole time you pretended to be my friend. You made me do this.
Here's some juicy behind-the-scenes scoop. A former writer for the show says that Drake hired a lawyer because he wanted his character Jimmy out of a wheelchair on the show. The writer's name is James Hurst, and he told the AV Club in a recent interview that Degrassi got a letter from a law firm in Toronto from Drake. It said, Aubrey Graham will not return to Degrassi season 6 as Jimmy Brooks unless his injury is healed and he's out of the wheelchair. That's when James confronted Drake and asked him how he feels about his character being in a wheelchair. Page 6 said that Drake allegedly claimed that his rapper pals had made fun of him for being in a wheelchair, to which James Hurst explained why the role was so important. Okay, I think we can all agree that Drake's friends sound lame. Wheeling through the 6 with his woes sounds cooler, but I'm not a rapper. James said that Drake told him that his rapper friends made fun of him and told him he's soft for playing a kid in a wheelchair. So James told him, well, tell your friends in the rap game that you got shot. How much harder can you get? You got shot and you're in a wheelchair. James said, Aubrey, there's some kid somewhere in a wheelchair who's completely ignored, who's never on television, never gets represented. I need you to represent this person. You're the coolest kid on the show, and you can say there's nothing wrong with being in a wheelchair. How cool is this story? I love it. Of course, later on, Drake's character does end up walking again when he's forced to save his crush. The power of young love, I guess.
Jimmy, you can walk.
Yeah, I guess I can.
If you haven't tapped the heart yet, do it right now so you don't forget, please. Do you have something fun or serious that you're dying to ask me? If you click the link in our bio on the POPlitics Instagram, you can submit a question through the submission form, and every Monday I'll answer some of your questions. It's time for Pop Quiz. Mallory from North Carolina says, what other pop culture shows did you take inspiration from for POPlitics, and do you have any pet peeves about other pop culture shows besides them being liberal? Well, when I came up with the idea for POPlitics in 2019, there wasn't another show like this in the conservative movement at all. Like, it didn't exist. Even other pop culture shows that were out there weren't on Instagram's IGTV. They didn't have the show sized the way that POPlitics is for a phone, and it also didn't include all the funny clips that we do, so it was really something that we created from scratch. And I remember thinking I needed to look at other shows for inspiration because it was so stressful just going into this blind. But I think that's actually a really good sign. Like, when you're creating something and absolutely no one has ever done it, and so you don't really have anybody's paper to look off of, so to speak, then you know that you're doing something totally unique, and then you will be the pioneer of it. And honestly, every successful thing that I've ever done in my career, whether that was stuff that I did in radio or working in the conservative movement, it was always me trying something that had never been done before, and those ideas of mine have always worked out the best. So that's why I really feel good about the spillover also. There isn't another conservative show, or podcast I should say, that's willing to cover some of the kinds of stories that we're telling on the spillover. My biggest pet peeve with pop culture shows is sometimes they don't pick the most interesting or juicy stories of the day. Like, I'm going through every pop culture story. I know what's good and what isn't. So absolute pat on the back moment for me, but I do truly think that from a content perspective, POPlitics has way better stories that we talk about on a day-to-day basis than any other pop culture news show.
And that is how it's done.
Jenny from California, what's a good place to buy home and bedroom decor that isn't covered in Ray Dunn, Live, Laugh, Love, or any other chuggy vibes? Honestly, I'm trying to figure that out myself. Interior design is hard for me. I would much rather hire someone to do it for me, but I like a lot of stuff from Anthropologie.
Now let's dominate this cheap piece of furniture.
Brooke from Ohio, I think Kristen Cavallari is a CUTEservative. What do you think? I think she is too.
What do you think's gonna happen to us?
I don't know.
What would happen in your perfect world?
Every time we come back, we'd still be together.
Rory from Colorado, can we visit you at TPUSA headquarters? And if you get visitors, what was your favorite interaction with a fan? You can visit, go to tpusa.com/tours to set it up if you're ever in Phoenix. I don't like saying fans. When you're asking me my favorite fan interaction, it's weird. I feel like you guys are friends. You know, like we're the same. Fans makes me feel like I'm above you, which feels rude. But my favorite interactions are always when you guys share how the show has impacted your life. I know that at YWLS last June, one of you told me that you had finally decided to quit the job that you had been working at because it was a leftist company, and you did that because of encouragement from POPlitics, and it totally changed your life. That was incredible. Or when you all meet each other and you become friends, like the two CUTEservatives who met in the Facebook group, and one ended up photographing the other's wedding. Those are the reasons that I do this show, for the community.
I'm proud of you. You're my best friend, and I love you.
Speaking of POPlitics and, you know, all the different things that we've done with this show, two of the POPlitics episodes that many of you have said are your favorites are the ones where I give pro-life answers to pro-choice questions. And if you have still not listened to the latest episode of The Spillover, it's like that times 20, because I have an actual expert, Josh Brahm from the Equal Rights Institute, on. And the conversation is so great because he spent his life studying what the best answers are to pro-choice questions, meaning answers and methods that are the most effective in changing people's hearts and minds. And even though abortion can be a heavy topic and is a heavy topic, this episode is actually very fun and interesting. If you really like the intellectual discussion that I had with Abigail Schreier on episode 2, then you will like this episode. Subscribe to The Spillover on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and leave your weekly 5-star review. I just spit everywhere. I do have a Monday life tip for you, but before I tell you, like this episode if you didn't earlier. Tell me if you think that selling human bones on TikTok is ethical or not, and if you've ever watched Degrassi, how do you say it, by the way? DM this episode to someone who loves spoopy stuff and ask them if they have seen this bone seller on TikTok. Man, I'm like doing a lot of like itching and touching today. Sorry, it's fine. Also, tap the save button because it helps the episodes. We're back tomorrow on Instagram, as always, at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific. Your weekly life hack is, if you tease your hair and dust in some of that volumizing dry shampoo powder the first time you wash it, your hair will last longer than if you don't. Every time I get a blowout, I make them do this. It's pop culture without the propaganda every single day. I'm AlexClark, and this is POPlitics. Support POPlitics, the first ever conservative pop culture daily show, by subscribing to our channel, turning on notifications, and of course, hitting the thumbs up. Also, our main home is on Instagram. Seriously, just trust me, that's where the real magic happens. Follow us there at POPlitics.